We took it out of the case and we gave it to a guy. You're like, what? It was mine to give you guys. Anyway, so yeah. And it's what? It's a few $1 billion or whatever much it costs.
Yeah.
He could have used that for the shrimp boat. Anyway. Sis, I've got an idea for how to fund your the fishing business. I think we're all right. Hey, Internet. It's Paul. It's Matt. The Dork Lords. We are here talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Episode 1, New World Order. And we open with Sam holding Cap's shield, remembering the conversation he had with Steve Rogers from Endgame. We'll talk about that in a second. And we launch into this kind of huge, impressive aerial action sequence featuring the Falcon. We end with Sam seeing on the news that there's a new Captain America, and he's sporting the shield that Sam just donated to the Smithsonian. And so that's our beginning and end points. Before we launch into specifics, Paul, what'd you think of Episode 1, Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Okay, now, folks, Matt doesn't know what I think.
It's true.
He doesn't know.
He sent me a very ominous text message like, okay, don't tell me what you think about this show so we can talk about it extemporaneously on the video. So, okay. I don't know where you're coming from, Paul.
No, I enjoyed it. I liked the show, but my best friend in all the world was not crazy about it. So,
so you were wondering if I liked it?
Yes, that was it. That was the mystery.
I do like it. I like it a lot, actually. So, yes, thumbs up from me. Yes. Mm-hmm. So what was it about? What was your friend's... I'm going to guess what your friend thought was maybe less than enthusiastic. It was perhaps that it dealt more with the real-life lives of superheroes and less with them being superhero-y, maybe?
We didn't actually discuss. We sort of texted.
Okay.
And he,
right.
20 minutes in, he was saying he was bored. He was bored during the therapy session, and that's when I was just like, ooh, I'm a warm embrace.
Oh, man. All right, so interesting.
Because I think more people connected to Bucky's story than they did Sam's.
Okay. I can see that. I do have some thoughts on Sam's story as well, but I get the idea we'll talk about it, but yeah, Bucky's got this redemptive arc that's still playing out.
Yes.
I thought his redemptive arc had finished with Wakanda, but it hasn't.
No.
It's still playing out. So it's,
no.
Anyways, and that seems more in line with like a superhero kind of thing as opposed to like, I want to get the family fishing business back. But I was really actually taken with that scenario as well. So, all right, so let's break it down. Right off the bat, that where Falcon is holding Cap's shield and he's remembering those lines from Endgame. The lines are, how does it feel? Like it's someone else's.
Yeah.
It isn't. Okay, that is the thesis statement for this show.
Sure.
I think that's the arc we're going to see. Sam, obviously, at the beginning here is like, it's not mine. It's Steve Rogers. This shield is synonymous with Steve Rogers. Take it, Smithsonian. And then by the end, he's going to be like, okay, fine, let me take it back. So I think...
Now, at the end of this, if he does take on the Captain America moniker, I will be surprised. I kind of feel like Falcon should be Falcon, and whoever Captain America is should be Captain America.
Now, I can't profess to have like been able to say, oh yes, from the comics. I had to look this up, but in the comics, the actor Torres, the character that's kind of his Falcon's liaison right now to the Air Force.
Yes.
Apparently, in the comics, that guy becomes Falcon after Falcon becomes Captain America in the comics.
I was seeing something about him being in some other world or other timeline or whatever. So, yeah, it's a question about that particular character.
We've seen it before, but we saw it in full display here. The fight scene, Falcon uses his wings as a shield. Right,
yes.
He's already got his shield.
Yes, that's
so
true.
It's like, does he also have a shield and then his shield? Which one? Oh shit. So right, would he drop the trappings of the Falcon to become?
And I certainly suppose he could be, Captain America with wings. I guess.
Yeah.
There's nothing to stop that.
The reveal at the end, he's being called Captain America. I've seen that he's also like in the comics U.S. Agent, I believe is his name. But
yes.
And I'll just say this: he looks goofy in the helmet.
Yes,
It's like he doesn't have a chin. I'm like, it's what is it? It's Kurt Russell's son.
Yes.
But boy, it's like I'm like, come on, man, where'd that chin go? Anyway, so if you look bad in the suit, you can't wear it. I think that's the idea. So one of the things that's interesting is we don't see our two named heroes, come together in this episode. They're still
correct.
And when we see them, they're apart, and it makes me think. Like, I'd always been under the impression when we saw the trailers leading up to this that we were seeing stuff maybe from the first 2 episodes. I don't think so. Now I'm like, gee, okay, because there's only 6 episodes. You got to keep that in mind in this show. This is a short series.
So the thing that we saw most, I would say notably, in the trailers that we haven't seen yet is, Sam throwing around the shield. You know?
And you see like he's in Louisiana and he's like cushioned the trees so he doesn't break them. And he's whipping the shield around. So at some point he's got to get the shield back, take it probably by force.
It was like, unless we're supposed to think that it happened before, the events of the show began.
I don't think so. I don't think so because we also see Bucky in this yard with him holding the shield.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, right. And they already established that he hasn't talked to Bucky in a while.
Right. Apparently,
Bucky hasn't talked to Sam in a while.
Right. Sam's tried to reach out, and Bucky hasn't responded.
Right.
Yeah,
you're right.
So there's there's the shot that's coming
maybe,
up.
Maybe they take the shield away from his punk ass.
I think they do. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Because think about that. I mean, obviously that's you're setting up this plot in the idea of like, oh, they're going to just assign a Captain America, but it is a huge slap in the face to Sam, right?
Sure, it is.
Like
I think you made the right decision. We need some white guy to take the shield.
Right. Like, he shows up, huge ceremony. Hey everybody, times need new heroes, and I'm just happy to donate this to the Smithsonian. This is Steve Rogers. No one else can claim this shield. See, okay, here we go. Yeah. Steve Rogers Memorial Shield. Bye, everybody. By the way, we took it out of the case and we gave it to a guy. You're like, what? It was mine to give you guys. Anyway, so and it's what? It's a few $1 billion or whatever much it costs. He could have used that for the shrimp boat. Anyway. Sis, I've got an idea for how to fund your the fishing business. I think we're all right. So Bucky has this nightmare of one of his Winter Soldier assassinations.
Yes.
And it seems like it's pretty recent. It must have been just before the events of Winter Soldier, right? I mean, as opposed to when he bumped off Tony's parents, it feels like that hotel feels fairly modern and okay, so
and these guys on the cell phone.
Yeah. That obviously is a huge. It pays off at the end of the episode. But
had you already known that?
I didn't. Although Jackie, my wife, called it out right before. I think when he was on the date. And he's on the date, and the woman that they're playing Battleship, and the woman says something about the guy's son, and Jackie was like, "Oh, that's the guy," something like that. I was like, "Oh, really? Oh, yeah." So I was behind the moment. Actually, Jackie had another funny moment at the very beginning. The first scene you see is Sam ironing a shirt.
Yes,
and she's like, "Hey, it's Iron Man." Iron Man shows up in this episode. It was a cameo. Speaking of cameos, we do have Don Cheadle.
It's like, he's going to take over all the roles. He'll be Iron Man, Captain America. He's going to get a hammer and be Thor.
He's going to be Thor. He's going to phase through walls and be Vision. So Don Cheadle as Rhodey shows up for that ceremony, and he tries to convince Sam to
he asked him why
he didn't.
I
think the implication being there's still time. You could still still change your mind.
It's just over there. I can go get it.
Yeah, right. Because if you don't, in like 2 days, they're going to grab it anyway. So again, just the idea that we see Sam is not ready to, take on this mantle of Steve Rogers. And he says in his speech, like we're in a time where we need, new heroes who are right for the time or something like that? I forgot how he put it.
Yeah.
I think that quote will resonate somehow as we come through here. Like
perhaps.
will it prove true or will it not prove true? I think the fact that Sam ends up being Captain America sounds to me like he's like, yeah, but we want good people, and I'm a good person, so. So Bucky's got this nightmare. We see him then in therapy. He's been pardoned, but one of the conditions of his pardon is he has to attend therapy.
Yeah.
He's got a good rapport with his therapist. They've been obviously doing this for a while. He basically lies to her, and then she just could tell that he's lying. It's just like,
yeah.
By no you mean yes? Got it. And so she set up these 3 rules for him to follow in order for him to kind of face what he's done.
Can you remember the rules?
The 3 rules are: it can't be illegal,
right?
You can't harm anyone,
yeah,
and he has to demonstrate that he's in this life of recovery by saying, like, I'm no longer Winter Soldier, I'm Bucky Barnes, and you're part of my efforts to make amends. Which almost sounds like a little superhero code, right? In some ways, he's almost got like his own own little superhero code in a way. I think he will try to. Well, of course, he doesn't really even keep to those codes in the thing we see where he harms a bodyguard. I'll say
yes, he does.
But
and it's probably not legal for him to take command of her car.
Probably not. It's a senator's car. Yeah. So there's a senator who's a Hydra sympathizer. He gets her arrested.
Yes.
And that's part of his making amends. And he has a little book. It's like a reverse hit list. He's got his reverse hit list of people he needs to make amends with. Or not just, he didn't need to make amends with that Hydra agent, right? It was like making amends by getting her arrested.
Yeah, so I guess you could say yes. Since he allowed her to get the power and do bad things, and she was continuing to do bad things.
She was continuing to do bad things.
She was like, I can place a hit on somebody that worked before. So
right. So that's a good point though. So we also see that one of the names is we'll talk about the old gentleman that he's befriending. We'll talk about that in a second. But one of the other names on that list is Zemo.
Yes.
So, how do we see him making amends with what's happened with Zemo? I ask because, first of all, I don't think he has to apologize to Zemo, right? I don't think he has to be like, "Hey, sorry, Zemo. No. Sorry that you exploited the crap out of me." I'm trying. So
somebody, or at least somebody, mentioned something that I was unaware of, which is in the comics there was another Zemo. Zemo had a father.
It's true.
It was possible that he has to apologize to him because of his father.
I don't think so. I don't think the Sokovia stuff, for instance, was really necessarily Winter Soldier's fault. If he's like,
Well, that's the thing, right? If one thing they're trying to, because while you can say Zemo's motivations in the first movie are noble in that he's just trying to avenge the death of his family.
Right.
In the comics, he's involved with Hydra and other.
Oh yeah. No, he's Nazi guy basically.
Yeah. So if he is, and if they decide to make him part of a family of people, and so again, that's why it's like his name is the father's name is Heinrich, I believe, and
and then Helmut.
And he's Helmut. Yeah. So it could be Heinrich.
Could be. Here's what I think could be likely. Obviously, if he's still in jail, it's like, okay, go imprison him again. I don't know, but maybe during the blip, somehow the chaos of the blip means that Zemo is no longer in jail.
Oh,
maybe we don't. Do we know for a fact that Zemo's in prison at this point?
Yeah, we don't know at this point. He might,
because we know that we've seen in the trailers he's walking around,
right?
Now, but with Falcon and Bucky, suggesting they're maybe on the same side. So. Right. Anyway, my thought is perhaps Zemo's on that list because post-blip, Zemo is now on the loose again.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Did you see that shot from the trailer of Bucky like emptying the bullets?
Yes.
From his gun in front of Zemo's face?
Yeah, we do.
And I took that to mean...
he's about to beat him with his gun?
He's about to beat him with his gun. I took it to mean like, your brainwashing words have no effect on me anymore. That's kind of what I was thinking I might go with, but maybe. Okay. In any case, Zemo's on the list. Shouldn't more people know Bucky by sight? Am I wrong? Like it seems he's not in disguise, right? And he's like walking around in a bar, and he like goes on a date, and she's like,
Here's
"Oh, you're wearing gloves."
Here's one of the interesting thing is that how people. I mean, you reminded me of another thing that I thought about, which is Sam's loan application, where
It's like, "Oh,
he
you're
asked
that
him,
guy."
Yeah, but why aren't you getting paid by the Avengers? Here's the thing about Falcon and the Avengers. He wasn't in it for very long. If you think about it, he was introduced in Winter Soldier, and he was in Age of Ultron, but in there he says, "Oh, you can stick with that Avengers thing." So he's really just looking around for Bucky at that point, not a part of the Avengers. So he really isn't a part of the Avengers.
He's like guarding the base, but yeah.
Yeah, so he's a part of the Avengers for Ant-Man and Captain America: Civil War, where he's not anymore. So the time between Civil War and Infinity War, he wasn't getting any money from the Avengers. In fact, since he's on the run, presumably that should have affected him financially.
And as he put it in the loan app meeting, he's like, "Look, I was blipped for 5 years. How am I supposed to have credit?
Yeah.
I wasn't here." Jeez. So it looks like you weren't paying taxes, sir. I'm afraid.
Right. Yeah, but in terms of Bucky, certainly his face got thrown around when they thought that he killed.
Right. He was like an international wanted man for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So so people could know him. Yeah, and I'm not certain whether or not the old man knows him. I feel like the girl should know him.
Right.
Because but she could just sort of say, she could have said though, like, "Oh, are you trying to hide your arm when you got the gloves on? Is that why?" But she didn't.
She didn't.
I'm really hoping that she's not. I mean, while it does make it harder for characters to be interesting if they don't have any abilities, I'm hoping she doesn't have any abilities.
I don't think she does. I think that was just an attempt at like getting back, making a connection, a relationship with someone, and then in that moment when she brings up the guy's son, that kind of triggers Bucky to be like, "Oh, this terrible thing that I've done." Like he has to leave. He has to bail because it's too painful for him to address. But anyway, so people don't recognize him,
right?
Which is, I guess good for him in some ways, right? I mean, like, that's the guy. I don't know. Might be.
I mean, you certainly could argue that there's certainly enough so that you wouldn't necessarily be aware of everyone. They're
like, "Oh, it's Luke Skywalker."
Yeah.
One of the cool little tie-ins was that in that opening action sequence, the villain is the Batroc, who is played by the former MMA fighter Georges St. Pierre. It's same actor, same character that was defeated by Captain America at the beginning fight scene of Winter Soldier.
Yes.
And so we're seeing like this parallel to Falcon and Captain America in these moments. Plus, he does survive. He escapes before the helicopter, so we'll see him again.
Yes, to fight another day.
Fight another day. Sam goes to visit his sister, Sarah. Her kids call him Uncle Sam.
Yes, they do.
Little tie in there. The G-Man. She is looking to sell the family's boat and get out of the fishing business.
Yes.
Times have been tough post-blip. There's been this huge recession, just like with the loan thing. The guy's like, "Look, after the blip, kind of tough to give people loans." And so Sam's trying to help her get a loan. Doesn't work, obviously, even though he's like, "Hey, get a selfie." It kind of reminded me a little bit of The Incredibles, a little bit with like Mr. Incredible working at the insurance company.
Oh, sure.
He's like, "I'm a hero, but I also have this gig that I have to live in the real world." If I was Sam's sister, if I'm Sarah,
yes,
I think I'd be a little peeved at Sam. Like, I get Sam's motivation. He's like, "Look, this is the family business."
Yes.
It kind of goes along with the idea of the memory of Cap as well. Like, there's these things that we must hold on to. But from her standpoint, it's like, you left for perfectly good reasons, but you were like saving the universe, working for the Air Force. I'm trying to run this fishing business in a post-blip world. It's not working out. I think I'm going to sell the boat, try something else. And he's like, "No, I've returned temporarily to say you have to stay in this dying industry, and I'll help you get a loan so that you can just keep your head above water and then leave and then let you keep like. It's
That's
like,
a rather harsh appraisal of his business plan.
I'm just like, is he going to run it? Like, is he going to be there on the boat? Because it seems like he's asking a lot of her.
He gave her
for
the
someone
plan.
who just waltzes in.
He gave her the plan.
Yeah. But the plan is like, you do the work. He also says, hey, you could run charters when you're not fishing.
Yeah.
Which is like, you could double your work and do a line of
probably
work.
hire somebody to run that boat while you sell things.
Costs
They got
money,
that place that's a stand for their fish.
I feel like it's not a terrible idea to say, you know what, this business is dying. Let's get out of it. Let's go.
Right. Well, he's talking specifically about the boat, which I think they lived on when their parents were alive. So it's the fact that it's named after their parents, I think, says something. And she said it's a hard decision to make. No,
it's not obvious. I'm just saying he seems to, for someone who doesn't seem to be invested in staying to actually run the business, he's making a lot of decisions about it. Like, okay, are you going to stay?
But her arguments aren't about the amount of work that it is. Her amount is the expense. She took the house and put that all into it too. So there's a lot riding on this, and they have a shared responsibility. So the fact that she made the decision without him, as he said, his name is on it too. So she should have been like, okay, here's what I want to do, and rather than here's what I'm already doing.
I got you. All right. Fair enough. I'm just saying,
I hear you.
He should be sailing the boat or whatever. But yeah, that's what sailing a boat does. That's how you do that, Paul.
There's no reason why he can't take the shield. It's like, hey, you want to take a boat ride with Captain America?
With Captain America, get your selfie. Yeah, $100 a pop.
Arr.
I'm Captain America.
Yarr.
Sam's Air Force contact, Torres, he has infiltrated this group that's kind of the bad guy of the series, the Flag Smashers.
Sure.
And they believe that life was better during the blip when there was too much chaos, essentially, to worry about international borders.
Yes.
It's like, you know what? The better time when we weren't all jingoistic. And then they kind of crowdsource their gang or whatever. I don't know. It's like they've got an app. It kind of reminded me of the Rico app from Westworld 3, Season 3.
Oh, yeah, sure.
A little bit. I was a little confused, and you tell me, Torres, there's a scene where Torres and Sam are talking in the open square area, and Torres is, filming everything. And then as he films, he gets the little red hand of the Flag Smashers on the screen. Is that just like incoming message from the Flag Smashers, or was that like, oh, I've seen something on my video that suggests?
I think it's some kind of AR app where it's like if you throw it up, you can see signs that they post or whatever, and so he's able to see on a building like, oh, here's the place that's marked that you have to be at or whatever.
Gotcha.
So
I thought that might be it, but it was a little confusing.
Some kind of AR game like you might have also said, okay, I found that.
Go.
Now let me play Pokemon.
Right. He then crowdsources into a crime that's happening, essentially.
Yes.
The idea is that they're using the people as a distraction. So a whole bunch of folks gather, they give them out masks, and then they're like, run! And so when the actual criminals break out with, I guess it's cash, I don't know, big bags.
Yeah. I think
everybody's running around. It's like tough to figure out who's who.
Yes.
And we do know that the actual criminal, at least one of them, is super powered. Kicks a guy several feet through the air.
Yes.
Almost kills Torres. It's nice of him not to kill him. He could have. He could have killed him.
Yeah. He's a villain with a heart.
Yeah. He just stomped him in the face.
Yeah. He could have stomped many more times.
By the way, Paul. Actually, from the trailers, we know there's some great Lord of the Rings tie-ins coming up. But there was a Lord of the Rings tie-in a little bit here. The Red Hand, obvious Lord of the Rings tie-in to the White Hand that's on all of the forces of Saruman's forces. So there you go. They're doing a Saruman reference, probably.
I'm sure that's what they were doing.
I'm sure that's what they're doing.
It just clear as anybody can see.
So here's where I think the plot is going to go from there. Torres shows Sam the video. Sam sees, oh God, that guy was superpowered. And he's like, let's not talk about this too much. I think what Sam is thinking is, oh, that reminds me of the Winter Soldier program, which Zemo supposedly killed all the members of the Winter Soldier program. I think that means he's going to go to Bucky with his thoughts, like, hey, is this thing still active? That also brings Zemo in potentially, because Zemo obviously knew a lot about the Winter Soldier program. So I think that's where Sam thinks that this is somehow the Winter Soldier program being brought back online brings in Bucky and Zemo. Yeah? No? Maybe?
I guess that's possible. That's. I mean, it's possible that they're a result of some kind of super soldier thing.
I'm not saying it's
one
true.
Of the things that,
I'm just saying that's what he's thinking it is.
I see.
Whether or not it actually is, I just think it's like, oh, somebody's making
one of the things we
superpowered
know from the trailers, though, is Sam's assumption is that they're one of the three. He doesn't say four. He says three, which is wizards, robots, and androids. Wait, that's the same thing.
No, that's the same thing. Wizards, aliens.
Wizards, aliens, and androids. Yeah. None of those are super soldiers.
That's true. You're saying maybe he thinks it's a alien or android.
Or
wizard.
Might be thinking that. Yeah.
It's all three. It's the alien, android, wizard.
One thing that is only hinted at in the after credits, there's a picture of Carl Lumley, and talks about him being a part of an experiment. And it's been theorized, and I hope it's true, that he might be playing Isaiah.
The proto Captain America, essentially.
Yeah, although apparently, though, to think of him being as preceding Captain America is false.
Okay.
That they said, "Wow, that's great. Let's try to figure it out by experimenting on these black people." So it's like Captain America came. They said, "Oh, how can we do that again?" And so they experimented after Captain America. So he's not directly involved with it. In fact, he's not involved with it at all, except that he's the inspiration for the atrocities.
Well, I think we're also seeing the theme from the original Captain America movie, which is we've got this guy
Isaiah Bradley.
This U.S. agent is apparently not going to be the most noble Captain America, probably.
Probably not.
And so that idea that Steve Rogers was not physically gifted. It didn't. What they were trying to find was the person who has the best personality, the best moral code.
Yes.
Be not the person who can lift the most weights.
Yes.
Whatever.
Yeah, we certainly know from the comics that the U.S. agent has a problem. The whole idea of it is to emphasize the nationalistic and jingoistic aspects of the, that you don't want, that people fear, actually. Like one of the things that I think even before the movie came out, the first Captain America movie, people were sort of
like wondering, how's this gonna?
And yeah, I think it's a common thing that people sort of have to get over in terms of their interpretation of Captain America is what part of America is it celebrating?
He worked against the Nazis, but right. It gets a little trickier when you bring him into a modern context. You're like, okay, yeah. And they did a good job at it. I think the MCU has done a very good job of that.
So one of the things that story of a black Captain America who ultimately though he suffered from debilitating degenerative mental disease or whatever. But his grandson became part of the Young Avengers as Young Patriot, or as Patriot. It looks like they're doing it from the fact that we got Kate Bishop and we got Cassie. They recast.
We at least had versions of Wiccan and
daughter
Speed
as somebody who could theoretically be a superhero, and so. There are a number of things that they, and Ms. Marvel, I think, is one of them. So, it seems like they're trying to set that up.
And maybe with U.S. Agent, we've got maybe a little, I don't know that he's going to go quite as brutally terrible as Homelander, but maybe Homelander-ish, right? Homelander's supposed to be this like, hi, I represent America, but I'm also a terrible person.
It'd be interesting to see how far they go with the character who may become U.S. agent. I think actually, though, in the comics, U.S. agent, they reformed him, I guess. He eventually became.
Oh yeah. Apparently, he's not he's not a total chaotic evil villain.
Yeah.
So Bucky, we see that nightmare image was the kid of the old man that he's befriended, and that's why he's befriended the old man. But he can't cross him off his list yet because he hasn't made amends yet.
Yes.
So that's going to happen, right? Yeah. By the end, probably the last episode.
Hopefully.
I would think episode 6, he's going to somehow, without getting himself thrown in jail, I guess he's been pardoned for it all, so it doesn't matter. But to say, yeah, I killed your son. I was the one who did it. And that's going to be a tough scene. It kind of reminds me of...
I think it will.
Jason Bourne. Remember Bourne Supremacy? There's that scene, I think, where he goes and talks to the daughter of the person he killed, and he's like,
I have to go back and look for that.
I killed your dad, your parents, and I was wrong, and it was terrible. And anyway, it's a good scene. It's well played, and I can imagine a similar type of thing here, where it doesn't end well. It's not like, and now let's hug, like it's like, and I now leave, and we'll never see each other again. I don't know that, other than a simple forgiveness.
Considering how they decided to end WandaVision, I'm hoping that he does not forgive him easily.
Right. Yeah. I think it would be a get out kind of thing, and like, so be it. That's the price I'm paying for this. But anyway, so that's coming up, and I think that will be interesting to see how they
I agree.
Play that out. So I imagine in episode 2 we will see, because again, only 6 episodes, so they're going to have to move through this thing. I feel like we're going to see Sam and Bucky come together in the next episode.
Oh yeah.
And so we just saw where they are. This is like apparently 6 months out from the blip ending. From everybody returning.
Yeah.
So anyway. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. I like the series a lot, or like the episode a lot, and I think it has good potential for the next 5 episodes, good sir.
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. All right, well, we'll be back talking about episode 2. Thank you as always, Paul. Appreciate it, sir. And we will see you guys next time. Bye.